All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Today we have my friend Cindy Austin on, and I met you through pickleball. And then pickleball is amazing.
Yes.
And then over time we found out we're both kind of have entrepreneurial brains, and I learned that you do a lot of stuff with dating and relationships. So I thought, hey, let's do a podcast on dating and relationships.
And I said, hey, you bet.
And this was right after I heard that you're doing a class. Is it a class called Deliberate Dating?
It's like a seminar. A webinar.
Oh, cool.
A program.
So tell us a little bit about your Deliberate Dating program.
It's Deliberate Dating in 90 days or less. And it's designed to really empower people to choose their ideal partner. And a lot of times I've spent 20 plus years in psychotherapy practice working with people in relationships, and then I have my own divorce. And so I was watching that we were doing a lot of work on the back end of relationships when it got bad or it was not the right fit, and there was a lot of challenge in that regard. And I thought, well, what if we talked about how to make a better selection on the front end? And nobody really talks about it, and people really rely on chemistry is the big deal. And so really talking about how to do that, not just chemistry, is what I wanted to empower people to do. So there's a divorce every 36 seconds in the United States.
I believe it.
I know it. So
that is crazy, though.
Yeah, it's not good.
No. I have some questions from different people, the internet, friends,
I love
family.
That. Yeah,
and I'm excited to share those. But real quick, I have a little story because
let's hear it.
I want to tell you my story.
Let's get your story.
Yeah, it's yeah, I know.
Do we have to film this part?
We need popcorn.
No, exactly.
So a story about my relationship, because I want to tell you this because a lot of these questions we can have an example to go off of, and
for sure.
That way maybe other people can relate to it, and I'll be the guinea pig here.
Yes.
So a while back, a couple years ago, this is one relationship that's really kind of been hard over these last couple years. But it's funny because it was like we dated for literally like 2 weeks, right? But it was a 4, 5, 6 month friendship that built up to us finally dating. And then once we were dating, like it ended very quick. So in my head, it was like, the analogy I give is we were in the honeymoon phase of our dating, basically.
For 2 weeks?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it was really fun. Like we had great chemistry, kind of like what you said. We had. She got me out of my shell. I was doing things outside the house. Just it was really fun. And then I don't know what went bad exactly, but all of a sudden she didn't really care to spend time with me. So I took that one really hard.
That's hurtful.
Right. And that's been 2 years, 4 months, and 23 days now. So. But here we are.
Who's counting?
Who's counting?
Who's counting that?
So I tell you all that because as I've wanted, I really, for like a month or 2 months, I cried every day. Like it was just really hard. I had lost other friends, and at that time they moved away, whatever. And it was just a hard time in life. And first of all, I'm a guy that when I lost my pet hamster, I cried for a week when I was a kid. So.
I like that guy. That's why I think I like you a little.
I'm emotional.
They're available. Is that Brookie?
Yeah. Hey. You're here already.
I have so many questions.
You just missed my story.
I know, it was a good story.
Relationship story.
Text and it said, come into the office when you get home and bring the video, but then I didn't know if it said don't, if you meant to say don't come into my office.
Yes.
Because I heard that. I am so confused.
Atticus,
welcome. Brooke. Hey, Brooke, I'm Calvin.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, go away, Addie.
You want to join us for a second?
Yeah, come join in.
First question, what are we doing?
Come into the picture. Come on in,
Oh,
Brookie.
yeah, here.
There you go.
We're shooting a podcast about relationships.
And I told him, you have a great perspective on relationships from an adolescent. And you're really wise, and you're really... I said, she should just come in. He was like,
and there you are.
And then there you are.
Here I am.
So basically, we introduced your mom, and then I gave my relationship story. I was dating a girl a couple years ago. No one's counting.
Nobody's counting how long ago?
2 years, 4 months, and 23 days ago. And that ended abruptly after dating for 2 weeks, but we had been really good friends for several months. So it was like, not just I lost a dating partner, I lost
A
A
my
friend.
best friend at the time.
Mm-hmm. Atticus.
And-
No.
And the Atticus is leaving. Atticus, move. Atticus. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Mm-mm. No, Addie. No.
My producer's not here. My producer's my 5-year-old dog. He's always jumping up and making noises. So we're going to go from that to some questions that people from the internet and friends and family had. And we have an example to kind of go back to.
Okay.
So when are you ready to date?
Great. Do you have an answer for that?
I think that part of it is kind of when you want to, and then the other part of it is when you have the time and availability to be in a relationship with still taking care of yourself at the same time. Especially
That's
with,
really
like,
important.
high school and
I told you she's
like
amazing.
music and stuff like that. I think that you're really worried about school, especially like high school, because junior year is when you start thinking about colleges, and it's just not the easiest time to be in a relationship if you want to be in like a committed relationship and have like a strong bond with another person.
Mm-hmm.
I think I struggle with something I saw on your website,
Mm-hmm.
or I have, not always, but several of my relationships have. That's codependency. So like you and your partner feel like you have to do everything together.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live without your partner kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a healthy thing, right?
No, and there's a word that a lot of people don't know, because codependency is a word that, I think you've even heard of that word, right? Codependency? No? So codependency is when you basically, your worth, your value, your sense of peace
Is on someone else.
is connected to somebody else's validation of you. And so it comes from, it's not super healthy. So what we want in a relationship more than that is interdependency. And so a lot of people look at codependency and independent, like I don't need you at all over here. And what the
It's like a spectrum. kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So the
Okay.
healthier place is interdependency. I choose you, and then you choose me, and then you have to need your partner. And a lot of people are like, I don't need anything, and because it's a real vulnerable place to need. But needing from a place of the soft place to fall, the person you can count on, the person in your corner, the person that's got your back. You got to be able to need somebody.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Now that you say it, that's kind of what I've been looking for in my next relationship. I've noticed when I'm looking, now I do feel a bit ready to date, even though I counted up the days since the last one. But I do, over these last couple of months, I really do feel like I've been more excited and kind of have put that in the past a bit. I still get sad over it, which
Well,
is
you want to
normal,
learn
but-
from it before you start dating.
Right. Well, that's a good one.
That's when do you start dating? Can you tell why? Now, if you've never dated before, like somebody that's starting as an adolescent, you really want to look at, I think, what it is that you're practicing learning to care about another person. Ideally, now that's not what a lot of people do with dating. They're looking for somebody to affirm that they're good enough, that they're hot enough, that they're desirable, that they're fine. They're looking for you to affirm that in me, and that's not going to work. And that's why it burns out.
You've done a lot of research into what makes a healthy relationship. What are some things that that are good to jump?
My definition of a healthy relationship is a relationship that heals, transforms, and enriches your life.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
That is good.
Yeah.
Say it again.
So
Heals,
when
transforms.
a relationship heals, transforms, and enriches your life. And most people, and look what fingers left up, they're looking for enrich. And then you get that. So really, it's about having the healing and transforming part. And people go, no, I don't need any of that. Thanks very much. I'd like the enrichment. Thank you. And then it doesn't work. And so if you really lean into caring about another person, you can't really do that in 7th grade and 8th grade and 9th grade as well as you can as you get older and have more concept of how would you love somebody else if you don't even really know how to love yourself.
How do you love yourself?
Exactly. How do you love yourself? So do you have any answers for that?
That would be something that you would have to find out your own way, and I feel like everyone loves themselves their own way. I would define it by taking care of myself, so doing the things I love and stuff like that.
That's it.
That is a good one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like if a relationship takes away from you doing that, or your partner is asking you to do less of that, then I guess it's like a toxic relationship.
That sounds good. I have one of my relationships that didn't work. Well, all of them didn't work because I'm single.
Well, they worked to some degree.
Right.
They did
but
something.
One of my more toxic relationships, that was one of the things. I like playing video games. I like doing business stuff. It's just what intrigues me.
Pickleball.
I like pickleball.
Mm-hmm.
But that relationship evolved or devolved into
Mm-hmm.
a somewhat of a codependency in that, we just watched TV together because that's what we
easy.
had in common,
Mm-hmm.
and we were out in the boonies, so like there wasn't much going on. We weren't in the city, and over years, like that became resentment in that I didn't get to play games or make content or whatever, and I started resenting that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of when the wheels started coming off, and I'm sure she probably had stuff she wanted to do that she didn't get to do because we didn't have as much in common too.
Right.
I don't know where I was going with that, but
Well, when you think about what self-care would be for you in 8th grade at 14, people start dating at that age sometimes, not in our house, but so people when you think of self-care, what does that mean? Like, what would you do?
Again, like doing something you love.
What are things you love?
So theater
Mm-hmm.
is
cool.
something I really like doing. So it's if they're like saying take away from rehearsal time or a time where I need to be practicing characterization or like lines or something like that, then that would be a problem. And then for me,
That'd be a
working
deal breaker
out-
for you.
Yeah,
yeah.
working
Yeah.
out is
Mhm.
something I really like to do, and I feel like it puts me in like a right mindset, and like obviously I'm taking care of my body, and so doing that would be something.
Those are
that
good
I find
examples.
So maybe someone that would like to work out with you would be a
Mhm.
good thing. Or where do you go on that? Like,
Well, I think that
they don't have to work
Well,
out with
it's
you, but
not-
it's a cool thing to have in
It's
common.
not like I don't think it'd be someone who works out with you if they're not about working out, then you don't have to do it. It's just someone that's like, you're always working out and you never have any time for me and you're always practicing lines and I just want you to come to dinner with me instead of practicing your lines tonight, or I want you to do this, then working out even though you feel like you really need to do that for yourself. But if you're changing to fit someone else, then you're just not, that's not the point of a relationship.
wow.
Y'all are like
Well
answering
said.
my second question.
We're so good.
Y'all are good. I
couldn't
gotta
even
make
read
sure
that, man.
I even have any questions left. So like one of the questions that people were asking was, what do you need to know about yourself before dating and looking for a partner? You pretty much nailed it on the head, Brooke, with just what do I like doing normally?
Well, I think at 14 you're trying to still figure that out. You do know some
Yeah.
things, but you've just now begun to really be
Yeah.
exposed to what's out there. And I say that when you figure out what your own personal values, interests, desires are, and then really own that, then it's easier for somebody to go, oh, I'm not going to work out with you, but I'll take a walk with you. And they find ways that you don't have to share everything
Yeah,
together.
Right.
or we can cancel off whatever plans we had tonight because you really feel like you need to work out because you haven't in a long time or whatever.
Yeah,
That would be part of it.
yeah.
One thing that I found super helpful I've been looking into my own self like these last probably 8 to 10 months to try to figure out what I wanted to talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
And one thing that I noticed is I was writing down things that I like basketball, tennis, pickleball, playing games, making games, all these things. And I realized that activities in my life and other people's life, they change over time. So I might like basketball a lot one year, and then that goes away, and then I play tennis for another year, and so on. So what I realized is defining the attributes that are a part of me was much more easier for me to know what I like doing, because
That's it.
so right.
That's it.
So I came up with creative, caring, and competitive. So I noticed I'm very competitive person. So playing basketball, playing basketball, playing tennis, playing pickleball, those things are outlets for my competitiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm looking for a partner, I might want someone that's also competitive, not someone that likes basketball because I like basketball in that moment.
Yeah, I might want to kick your butt in Monopoly.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, but has that energy about them that's okay
Exactly.
with that energy that you have.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I
Yeah.
never really thought of it that way.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I that kind of switched in my head when I was trying to figure out, because you have to put who are you everywhere when you're
Yeah, I know.
putting yourself out there. So it's like, who am I? I
You're
like basketball.
I'm
And it's like,
Calvin.
wait,
Yeah.
all these
Wait a
things.
minute, what am I?
I don't actually play basketball anymore. I play tennis. What does that mean? Oh, I'm competitive. That's what it is.
That
I've
you
always
enjoy
been
that
competitive.
energy,
Yeah.
Sports, or maybe it's something like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's something I tell people now, and it's helped me a lot to find out what I like doing. And I think that's going to be good for me going forward as I look for a new dating partner too.
That's huge, because if you don't know that, it's hard to know when you find it in somebody else. It's like, oh, I happened upon it, versus I'm really knowing what to figure, to find and to go,
Yeah.
oh no, I don't compete. I don't care if I win or lose. You're like, yeah, it's probably not going to go well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I kind of do care if I win or lose. Sorry.
But if you're coming from a place of codependency and you really just want a partner and you have a scarcity mentality, this might be the last girl ever before another 2 years and 4 months and 23 days or whatever. You know, I better...
Or whatever. Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, right.
I better just accept this, that she likes me and I think she's cute. We better just go ahead then. And so you're not really being discerning and you're not really being deliberate, which is why we call it deliberate dating. You're just reacting to what is in the moment versus really creating the relationship that you want.
I really, over my life, I've had problems jumping, from one to the next just because it's easier to jump into another relationship than deal with the pain of the last one.
Most
kind
people
of thing.
say that too. Yeah, you're not uncommon. Yeah, that is you are. So the fact that you've waited as long as you have since that last one says a lot about your willingness to not repeat that.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, am I being just too picky? And then I'm like, no. Like I know what my deal breakers are, some of them, and I know who I am now a lot more than I did. So.
And you'll be changing. It's not like you're going to meet somebody today and you're like, this is how I'm going to be in 10 years and 20 years. And you want the person to change with you, but there's a commitment to, and I can show you that in a minute. We can actually do it. I can show you a little activity that actually shows that. And I don't want to make you stay for the whole thing, Brooke, if you don't want to.
I was thinking about how you're saying, like, am I being too picky? And something that, like, I've honestly seen with kids at my school, which is kind of disturbing, but they go from, like, person to person to person to person to person. And it's like they never learn from their mistakes. And then if they don't, they feel like they're being too picky. But in my mind, it's like you have a certain standard and you have deal breakers and you know what you want to a person. And just because you think they're cute and they may have like one or two things in common with you, that doesn't mean that you're being like, oh, well, they don't do these other things, so I'm being too picky. It's like there's someone out there that fits all those things. So why
settle?
Waste your time with why settle with something that doesn't make you feel like or doesn't meet your needs?
I would guess when I was in high school, at least, I would guess a lot of that has to be with people feeling insecure about themselves being single. Sure. When you're going from dating someone, oh, we're a thing, to single, it's kind of at least for me, it was like, oh.
Well, there's a component that we all as humans, I think, really have to pay attention to is that we have a fear, all of us, me, that we're fundamentally flawed. And if you figure that out, you're not going to like me. And if you figure that out, and so, but we, it's like when you go to a job interview, it's pretty much like dating, like put your best foot forward. It is. It's like, and so that implies that there's a stinky foot somewhere that's going to be coming around the corner. Don't find it now.
Wait a month.
Yeah, it's going to come out sooner or later. And I'll have people come in my office and they go, I had a great job interview. I think they really liked me. I think they liked how I answered them, this and this. I go, well, did you like them?
That's important in a job.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, I just was happy they liked me. I was like, yeah, that's a problem. And when you get into scarcity and a lack mentality, I call it scare city.
I like
the city of scare.
They need to make a Pixar movie about that.
That would be good. Because the other side of that is the abundance, the dance where there's an abundance.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah,
both of those. We're making this film.
It's so fun. Pixar, watch us. And so coming from the city of scare, where you just have a parking spot with your name on it. And there's not enough for me. And then to really get to the dance, the abundance is a consciousness, putting your mental energy into leaving the scarcity and believing and there's enough, even with your flaws. How cool would that be when people really love you in that space? And it's called real love versus imitation love. When people really know who you are, they know your flaws, they know your warts, your fears, and they love you anyway. But if you never reveal that...
Imitation love would be like you at the job interview. I see.
Yeah, or like going, oh my gosh, you're so cute. And you're going, oh my gosh, you're the best cook. And we just trade this affirmation thing back and forth, this praise thing back and forth.
More so.
And so we're not really revealing who we really are. It's like, I'm just going to reveal the good stuff. And you're like, oh, I really like the good stuff. You're like, thanks so much, let's go out. And then pretty soon, the real stuff isn't, the good stuff isn't all that there is. And the other stuff shows up. And that's conflict.
I have a question related to that. Mm-hmm. Maybe both of y'all could help on this. What are some tips on bringing up tough conversations as your relationship progresses, and you're kind of out of that, oh, I love everything about you, to, okay, now we kind of know each other. And this could just be in friendships. It doesn't have to be like romantic relationships.
Stuff's getting real now.
You know, like, oh, I'm really mad at my friend, but I don't want to bring it up because that might hurt our friendship. But in reality, our friendship's being hurt by us both secretly being mad about it.
That's it. What would you say, Brooke?
I would say that, like, I understand how that's, you know, scary, and how that's...
It is.
Because, I mean, you don't have these conversations with people you don't love, or people you haven't had a relationship with, whether that be, you know, like dating or friendship. So whenever you bring it up, it's gonna be scary, and you're gonna have that risk of like saying, I could have kept my mouth shut and have a rocky relationship with you, but still had a relationship with you, or I'm gonna speak up and I'm gonna lose everything. I'm gonna jeopardize everything, which I feel like is something kind of scary, but needs to be done.
That's really well put.
She's good at that.
Yeah. I mean, I think my take on what you just said, especially the end, if you bring it up with that great friend of yours or that your partner, and they aren't able to handle that well, like, that's probably not someone you want in your close circle.
And that's going to hurt to realize.
That is it.
Yeah.
And that will be a loss.
It will be lost, and that's probably what people are...
Bye, see ya, happy I found that out. You're going to be like, wait, no.
Yeah.
Like, that's not who I thought you were. Like, what's happening?
That does stink when you find out about people.
Yeah, that's a disappointing day or week or 2 years and some months.
4 months and 23 days.
That's what the title of this podcast is.
2 years, 4 months, and 23 days. ... Like, and going.
And counting.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, man.
I know it. But I think, choosing to have constructive conflict is different than just having a problem.
Yeah, bringing up the problem.
Yeah, it's like, I'm doing this so that I can get better and you can get better. I do this out of respect for our relationship and love for our relationship. I care about it enough to do this, and I might do it clunky. I might do it poorly, but it's not my intention. But I would like to learn over time, you know, with practice, and that's part of what deliberate dating talks about too. There's an art to effective communication and productive conflict. It's got to be constructive to advance the ball down the field. So it's really how to do that is not really taught.
Have any tips on it?
Yeah, it is.
Let's hear them. I have some things that I want to discuss on and off with close friends, family, and I'm like, how do I bring this up without... I have a tendency of like sounding passive aggressive. I don't mean to, but like I don't know how else.
Can you come up with an example? Because it'll be more powerful if there's a... and I don't want you to throw anybody under the bus.
Yeah, that's what...
Just give them like an inanimate object name, like chair. One time I had this problem with me.
I'll have to think of one. I don't know. Let's say me and you.
Okay.
What are we thinking? A problem me and you have that I want to bring up. So.
Well, think of a relationship where
we want to. I want to play. Oh, we'll put this on you maybe.
Okay.
I want to play pickleball in a tournament with you, but you don't, and so I've asked you, and you keep avoiding it.
I would not do that.
I know. I was trying to think of one that wouldn't happen so that I wouldn't throw anyone under the bus. That's all I got. That's all I came up with.
Well, when you're unhappy, I don't
have a good example.
When you're unhappy with somebody's like performance as your friend, let's say they don't show up, they don't respond.
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, would that be a good one?
Yeah.
Like
so we have a plan to meet at 1:00, and they're not there. Oh, something happened. Well, that's okay. We'll meet again tomorrow at 1:00. They're not there again. It's like, what the heck, dude? Do you not care about me or my time, kind of thing?
Well, and so I think the thing is noticing what happens in your body is huge first. Like, I do feel upset. And upset means sad or mad.
I really like that thing.
It's cool, and it's a really good.
This thing that Cindy has is the 8 basic emotions.
Yeah.
You got anger, fear, pain, joy, passion, love, shame and guilt. So recognizing
and you might
these
not
feelings.
be angry, but frustrated, right? And so
Ah,
frustrated
like a
is on the
level of anger.
spectrum of it.
Right,
And so
okay.
people like, I'm annoyed, I'm frustrated, I'm resentful. That's anger. The root feeling is anger. It's the most easily accessible emotion. That's why it's first on the list.
Interesting.
And there's some gifts from anger. It's not all bad. You know, there's some assertiveness, some energy, some emotion. So when you really notice it and you go, oh, that really hurt, or I'm really mad by that, you go, that's okay. It's not that big of a deal. I'm not going to take that one to the mat. I'm not going to bring that up, right? And if it doesn't go away after that, and you think about it when you're brushing your teeth that night, or you think about it in the car, you're going to need to bring it up. And so if you can let it go and really truly let it go and go, you know what, that's not a big deal that they were late one time, but the second time and the whatever, and you notice it bugs, it's to talk about it. And so then the intention behind talking about it is what? Keep the relationship.
Our problem, and keep our friendship, right?
So,
and have me not resent them.
Right. And the hugest thing about this, in my opinion, is not trying to be right. You hurt my feelings. You should have called. I'm right. Right? That's
right.
The energy I've got is I'm right. And you wronged me. But the energy to have a relationship that you want to keep, when you talk about it, it's like, I really felt hurt. I felt like you didn't really care about my time. Is that what was happening for you?
Yeah.
It's a completely different approach. And I'm still saying the same thing, but I'm talking about myself. I'm talking about my experience of you. I didn't feel like you really thought that what we were doing was important. Versus, why are you such a jerk?
Yeah.
So that's an attack.
I think I'm pretty good at putting it on myself and like, hey, this hurt. When I am confident enough to bring those things up.
Well, and the confident enough that's the thing, when you value yourself, that what you feel matters enough. Then,
I think I struggle with that.
Then the people in relationship with you will care about it too. And you'll start being at a frequency like a radio station for this kind of music. And when you care enough about how you feel, then you attract people that care about how you feel too.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool, huh?
That is cool.
Yeah.
How confident are you, Brooke?
Pretty good.
She's got it.
She's pretty amazing. I am too, but we have nervousness and fear that I'm not enough.
Right. I get that.
That I'm an imposter.
I had a podcast with my buddy Peyton about confidence, and she talked about 3 levels of confidence. There's the outward of confidence, your physical appearance of confidence. And apparently I'm very confident in that area, is what I've been told. And I do feel more physically, like, not that like I look hot, but just like my outward appearance is kind of confident. My inward confidence is kind of lacking, and my decision-making confidence is lacking. Those are the 3 types of confidence Peyton talked about. And so I've been really trying to work on those things, and that would be a perfect time to work on that. Like, hey, I noticed that I'm feeling a little frustrated with my friend that didn't show up several times in a row. I should probably talk to them about that instead of just putting it off to the side and maybe being hurt by it. Care enough about myself to bring it up.
Yeah, and
versus worrying that they're going to be mad that I brought it up.
Well, and they might. And that's kind of the roll of the dice, and what you said so wise earlier. It's like, when you want to know that about them now, you don't want those people in your circle to go, why are you being so butthurt? It was just late 2 times. I didn't tell you. I mean, what? And they're minimizing your experience. I'd want to pay attention to how they respond in my experience.
Right, but I kind of am going off what you were saying, but whenever you do come to that realization, your brain typically or sometimes will shut down that thought and say, well, no, because they've been such a great friend or great partner another time, so we shut it down. Or, like, even if they haven't, your brain, it's scary to lose someone, especially someone that you want so much to bring it up. And so that thought isn't going to be something where you're just like, oh, okay, cool, I don't want you in my life anymore. It's going to be like a I have to seriously consider this person being in my life, which is scary because, I thought I loved them or I thought we had a great relationship, but it turns out that we don't, which is something that's hard for you to admit to yourself.
Well, and I think people have different thresholds. Like, you might put up with somebody going, oh, I was late and I didn't tell you, more than you would put up with somebody going, oh, yeah, I kick your puppy every time I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, that made me
You would what would your threshold be for that?
low.
The end.
Yeah.
You know, one time, exactly. If somebody comes and kicks atticus, you're like, yeah, you're not welcome back here anymore. I mean, we have thresholds.
Right.
And so really finding out what yours isn't really about what Brooks is or mine is. It's really being true to what's yours.
I think that's one thing that really hurt so much about my last really big relationship to me.
2423.
Yep, 2423. So for me, that, because like I basically realized, like I obviously am not important to her like I thought I was.
Mm-hmm.
And like she led me on to believe for 4 months when we were really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really hard.
Well, you know what's really hard is that, I mean, I've had that in a relationship, and it hurts deep because it's not what I thought. And I really was looking for, you know, the big signs, and they really weren't there. And then what really hit me was they were there, they weren't big, but I was having so much fun in the relationship that I was kind of blowing past those. And then I realized, and this is really humbling, people get to change their mind.
Yeah.
I know.
It stinks
I was like, damn
sometimes. Yeah.
I was like, what?
I thought we had a good thing going.
I was like, what? And yeah, but I was like, wait, that was like, why would you change your mind? It's like, you don't really always get to know, but people get to change their mind. And then I think, Brooke, you said it at the time when that happened to me. You're like, well, good riddance. If they don't want to be here, I don't want them around, you know? And I was like, oh, that's pretty good clarity right there.
Yeah, it's hard to say that to yourself.
Yeah, it's
hard
hard.
to admit that idea.
Yeah, because it was an investment in your heart. Mm-hmm.
We're going to jump a little bit here. What are y'all's thoughts on dating websites?
Oh, I have a lot of thoughts on dating websites.
Let's hear some of them.
Brooke, you don't have any, do you? Please tell me you haven't been on any.
It's time for me to go.
Okay.
You delete a few apps?
And not even so much for you, but just people that you've heard. Or what are your thoughts as a
Well, I did a lot of
therapist
research
and
into them.
Research, okay,
Yeah,
let's
I
hear it.
did, and they've created a dynamic in the mentality of people that are dating that there is an abundance. So I don't really have to work hard if this doesn't go well.
Ah.
I can just go back and Atticus. I can just
He's
go.
all right.
I can just go get another one.
He's our producer for the day.
And producer. I can just go get another one if this isn't working right. And so there's an abundance of people, so we don't really have to do the healing transformation piece.
No, Addie, back
We're
up.
just looking for the enrichment. And I think that's the piece that deliberate dating is really looking at making a difference, is that there's so much more to it than that. And it always shows up. But you don't want it to show up once you've, done the marriage and have the children and investments in the home and go, oh, you're not interested in healing and transforming. You just wanted the enrichment part.
Huh.
And
That's
so,
interesting.
yeah, the fun, the buddy, I don't have to feel alone anymore. My holidays are dialed in now. It's like versus.
That's really cool. That's
So
interesting.
let's cross off some of these other questions about
You can't
dating sites.
Dating sites are not all bad.
No.
They're not. I don't think they're all bad at all. But you have to know what
What you're getting into.
Well, if you don't know your own interest, values, worth.
But that goes up to the one where it says, how do you know when you're ready to date, and what should you know about, how about how do you know to take care of yourself? How do you know you've taken care of yourself enough to start dating? That kind of ties in with that.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So yeah, getting yourself ready before. I think I've been trying to do that these last 2
That's
years.
what you are doing.
Because
Yeah.
honestly, after that relationship ended, I was like, man, I need something. So I just was straight to the dating sites. It's like, just find me anybody, basically.
Just give me a hit.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me I'm worth something.
Pretty much,
Yes.
exactly. And then I was like, what am I doing? I'm just
That's
like, this
not
is
it.
pathetic. Yeah.
It's pathetic.
So then I haven't been on them in years, and now I'm like, well, maybe it is a good time for me to start find someone, naturally or through the sites, because I do feel a bit more ready, and I know myself more than I did then. So
I think the vibrational frequency, which sounds woo-woo, but it's really like a radio or TV or your phone. Whatever you're tuned to is what you're going to really attract.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Well, I was also about the dating websites. I noticed that there's some websites that will pair you with people for your like as a convenience.
Oh, that's so true. Yes.
And it's Bob likes Mexican food. You like Mexican food. Y'all should date. I'm like, yes, because relationships are built off of your taste in food. And
Not.
Bob runs marathons. You rocked your lap. Y'all should date. It's like, that's not how that works.
Your name starts with a B. You should date
Exactly.
someone that
Yes,
starts with
like,
a B.
that's exactly how that works.
And
That's
that's really
funny.
what deliberate dating is about. Is we got to do this better. I mean,
Right.
it can't be because you like Mexican food and live
not how
music
you
and
do
walks
it.
on the beach.
It's because you're caring and creative and competitive.
and
you
that's
find that in
well,
someone.
that's an important energy that you
And
have.
also, you can't fill that out on a dating website. You need to meet the person. You need to, you can't be like, I am a really great person and I know my mistakes.
Oh, trust
in
me,
my
that's
last
all that they
relationship."
write.
I know, but then you meet them and they're like, yeah, I think that's pretty perfect in my relationship, my past relationship that failed. I think it was my partner who had the biggest problems and I was pretty much perfect. And you're like, that's not how that works.
That's not possible. And that's really one of the things about how do you know when you can date. If you can talk about why your last relationship didn't work from your side and have figured out what you need to do with that, then you're probably ready to date.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't that
I
cool?
like that benchmark. Yeah.
Yeah, like can I name what I did
Yeah.
and what my fault was?
Even
I've-
like the worst breakups where it's like cheating or something, it's like you have to see your own side of the story of what might have like motivated that.
I literally have been walking through that, and actually literally going through that and literally walking. Like I'll go and walk with my dog, and
Can you close that door?
the
Yeah, because the cats are coming.
With a friend.
the cats are here,
Go on an adventure. Yep.
and so I've been really reflecting on not so much. It's less about the I'm sad that ended, and more so what happened there. What did I
that's-
like, and what did I not like about the relationship?
That's huge. And that's the springboard to go into the next one, because now you are a better consumer of the dating process versus, will you like me, make me feel good about myself? Will you affirm me? Will you make me feel better? It's like that's the wrong reason for the relationship. It's like, what can I do to make you feel loved?
What were the three again? Affirmation,
Well, it's heal,
Or-
transform, and enrich.
heal, transform, and enrich. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, because we all have stuff to heal, no matter how great our families were, no matter great our life experiences, there's some place in our walk that we have to heal. And then there's transformation. Like you said, we're not going to be the same person 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
I hope not. I mean, you're transforming and evolving, and then the enriching part is it's supposed to be fun. Yeah.
So we have our frequency set. We find someone in real life or on a dating site, and we're like, oh, they have my same frequency. How do you ask them out?
Oh, that's great. You have any thoughts?
You send lots of weird emojis over Bumble. No.
Okay, don't do that. Delete.
Don't do that.
I'm really trying hard not to. I know I've heard of Bumble, but is that particularly dating, or is that just like a
That's
communication
dating.
app?
That's
It is a dating app.
It's
Okay.
where women get to choose the person.
Oh.
And then
I
the
see.
guys have 24 hours to respond whether they'd like to talk to. But guys can't approach the women on that side.
Interesting.
If you put a camera on, it'll be a game show.
That's interesting.
It's cool. I like that
Well,
compassion.
cool.
Anyway.
How else?
Wait.
How else?
Besides the emojis,
Yeah.
you should. Okay, if you're gonna ask if you're nervous to ask someone out, that's normal. If you're like genuinely terrified to ask someone out, you shouldn't be asking them out.
No.
Because either you don't know them well enough to get into a relationship with them, or you don't really want to get in a relationship.
I have a good one on that.
Oh, that's good.
So
That's good.
post school and like I don't go to school right now, and I've been graduated for many years. And I don't have like a workplace. I mean, I work, but I don't have like a group
Office
of people.
community.
Office community. So for someone like me, if I'm meeting someone, if I'm not meeting them like through a dating site, and I'm like, hey, let's go on a date. It's more like I see people
the grocery
one
store.
time for 10 minutes, and it's like I might get that vibe, but that's really hard to close that deal in that 10-minute window or 30-minute, 45-minute window when I'm out hiking. So what are some tips on adults who don't see people all the time, the
Right.
same people all the time?
Yeah, it's not a natural
Yeah.
setup.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I would say, because like I can't really speak because I'm still in school, which is good. But I would say like if I were in someone like that's shoes, I would say maybe like maybe get their number and be like text them later on, say like, hey, I really enjoyed talking with you. that one time. I was wondering if you want to go grab coffee, whatever time you're free, and then you could like go off from that, and then eventually you guys would become, you know, friends or whatever, and then you'd feel more comfortable too.
Well, and I think it's even clear for me when I have been asked out, because I have been dating, and somebody says, well, no, it's just somebody says, I'm really interested in learning more about you. I'm like, oh yeah, I'd like that. You know, like, I don't want to date you. I mean, there's an agenda loaded with that almost. I'm interested in getting to know you. You got a great smile, or, oh my gosh, you have such positive energy. I'd like to get to know you better. Are you available for a coffee or a smoothie or, a, you know, a hike or whatever?
Interesting. So
what?
Only drinks.
Well, and I recommend that people keep alcohol out of the first part of dating, but a lot of people do it. They're like, okay, let's go get a glass of wine, or let's go get this. And
that might be kind of suppressing some subconscious feelings.
It's interesting for me because of what I do. I have a different, sharper, and maybe sometimes not necessary, you know, for people. You can have a glass of wine and not really change who you are. But it's always interesting to me that I just kind of want to get to know you without alcohol being a part of it. Because alcohol alters us. And so just, I would like to get to know you unaltered, you know. Not that that's a deal breaker, but
right.
You know,
but it
maybe
does
if they
seem
start
like
doing shots, that's a problem.
Yeah, it seems like alcohol could lead more to
the imitation love.
Yeah, imitation love, and what's the other word where you're just complimenting each other, like
yeah, that's the affirmation, the praise, power, pleasure, and safety. You're just giving that back and forth. You're just trading imitation love versus really loving, caring.
So no alcohol would probably lead more to not that, and more about the.
Well, and what Brooke said is people are nervous, and sometimes alcohol is a crutch for people not to, be more less nervous and feel more comfortable. But that's an alarm bell for me. If alcohol,
especially even for yourself, if you're relying on alcohol to feel comfortable with the person that you're about to go
really
on a date
like
with,
that.
then you shouldn't be going on a date with them. Either you need to have more friend time, or you need to
get to know them.
Get to know them better. Yeah, like get to know them better. Because like being nervous is fine, but being like genuinely scared should be an alarm bell.
Yeah.
Should be kind of something that's
strange. Go ahead.
Another thing to meet people is, like you were saying earlier, like I'm competitive. I like basketball, I like tennis, I like games, I like this. So, going to a meetup or going to an event, like a gaming event, they have those, and signing up and going and spending $200 to go to an event, or at a convention center. And so you're going to be around people that are in that same interest, or people that are podcasting, or people that are making content for podcasts. And you're like, okay, what do you do with that?
Where do these people go? Let's go there.
Do they go to WeWork? Do they go to, webinars and seminars? And how, so you just do, and so, and if, what?
It's just like whenever I moved to Austin from, a country,
rural,
in the rural area, I was like, now they actually have meetups of things that I like. I can actually start going to those now that I'm in Austin. Mm-hmm. I haven't been to one. So I moved here full time in October. I've been to meetups, but you just made me realize, like, that was my plan the whole time, and I haven't been doing it.
Genius. I'm just reminding you of your own genius.
No, you're genius.
No, that's it. No, that's yours, because there's a win-win. You go, you still enjoy what you're doing, but you're open to being connected to somebody. You're open to having that spark or that interest of getting to know them and date them, and be a friend with them more in a place that you enjoyed what you were doing.
Keep going. I just gotta. Where's my pen?
I have pens right there by you, bro.
Okay, I need to write this down. Go to meetups.
Well, and like go
because I don't know why I forgot.
Or like in movie meetups, or premiere meetups, or hiking meetups, or things that are I tell people there are those ones that have meetups that are like a whole day, and they have like a person talking about quantum physics, a person talking about butterflies, a person talking about just random cool, things. And it's like being able to be exposed to something new. Like, do you like museums?
I mean, I don't go a lot, but I would enjoy that.
Do you like bookstores? Do you like books?
I don't read.
Huh? So you wouldn't go to a bookstore or a library opening.
I go to a game store opening. You're right though. On that.
That would be fun
for
you.
I used to go to actually a lot of meetups for hiking whenever that relationship ended, and that was actually really fun. It wasn't so much me going out to meet a new partner, but it was me
Right.
going to be with other like-minded people, and I got a lot of friends from that.
Yeah. And if you're playing pickleball and you play pickleball at the same time always, or you go to the same yoga gym or you do the same yoga class, just go to yoga at another time. Go to pickleball at a new place. You know, just open it up so that more people can move in and out.
Also, if you're going to do things, like, if your motivation to leave the house is just to find a partner, I mean, I feel
That
like...
puts a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and also it would take away the fun from it. Because, like, if, for example, if you were to go to that hiking meetup just to find a girlfriend, and you weren't going there to hike or to meet new friends or to learn something about nature or about hiking or anything, then that would kind of take all the fun out of it. And you'd kind of be sitting there like, I could be, you know, learning about all this stuff, but I'm just going to see that girl looks pretty. Maybe she's interested in me. That girl's looked at me twice. You know, I don't know.
Right.
I'm saying that would be stressful.
That makes sense. You kind of get caught up in that and don't. Hey.
Well, you go visit with her. She wanted to see you before you left.
So we figured out who we are.
Figure out what's important to us.
What's important to us. We vibed with someone. We finally asked them out. Now our relationship's going, right?
Yeah.
Good job. Here we go. So now, what are some benchmarks in dating and in relationships in general? Just, you know, you go on dates and then
Well, it's meeting each other's families,
family.
meeting friends and family, and
So we're talking about different benchmarks in dating. So now we have a partner.
now we're dating.
Now we're meeting their friends.
So meeting their friends
family.
and meeting their family. And I think it's really important as you do that, because I've done this with people before. They're extroverts and they end up dating somebody that is more introverted. And they want to take them to meet everybody. You know, and so it's really more about them than it is about their partner. And so really knowing that person that you're with.
Sorry, this is the best producer I've ever.
Is it
no,
the best?
I love my producer, my dog, but your dog
What
is
producer?
actually our producer here. Your dog is actually moving the camera and filming us.
That is
That's
awesome.
hilarious.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
It's
completely
his paws
funny.
are the size of the camera.
Just for those actually watching, not just listening, I thought it was really funny. The camera just kind of moved, and I looked down. This big paw is like recording, like moving the camera around. It's hilarious.
Had to go. Yeah. So, what were we saying
So-
about that? Oh, so now who do you meet? Okay, so meeting friends, meeting family in a pace that's comfortable for the
both.
partner.
For both.
Really, it's
Or is it?
it's really if it's your family and you want to meet them all at once, and this person is an introvert and you have a big family, that might not be as comfortable. And meeting them in a neutral spot, like at a dinner location where somebody can get up and not, you know, there's just ways to do that. But that's a benchmark.
That's a good one. And we kind of mentioned spectrums earlier. You know, if one person wants to wait X amount of time, the other person wants to wait Y amount of time, maybe try to find somewhere in the middle.
That's it. That's it. And yeah,
Yeah.
talking about it and negotiating it and speaking about why it's important to you. And then
Oh,
what's
that's a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to meet these people because I really am excited about you.
Been telling them about you. We have a lot of fun. I think you would have fun with them too.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Also, to add that, it's kind of an elephant in the room right now, or at least for me, is sex. That's obviously a benchmark and something that shouldn't be like a. If you're looking for an actual relationship, that you're like, that needs to come much later on into the relationship than meeting family.
That's
or
definitely
having
a
friends.
big benchmark in a relationship.
It's a
You're
big
right.
benchmark.
It's a benchmark, and it's something that you do with your partner, and that's something that shouldn't be done like
Immediately.
like a one night stand or
Yeah,
something.
you've actually done quite a bit of research on this topic.
A lot.
So let's hear what you got to say.
gosh.
I think you were telling me about.
Here's the filming.
Yeah, he's filming again.
Lots of research on this.
Yeah, I was kind of alarmed by it when I started to really hear the millennials that were coming in my practice, and then even women and men in their 40s that were going through a divorce and going back out and dating. That
College party all over again.
Yeah, it was really. But there was this. Sex is meaningless energy. It's meaningless. It's like, it was like playing pickleball with somebody. It just helped if there was a cuter person on the other side of the net to play pickleball with. It was really meaningless. And so I don't judge what sex means to each person, but you have to really know what it means to you and then be able to articulate that and express that so that what it means to you is not, it's similar to what it means to that person, so that it's a match versus So if you have a decision to do it because you hope it turns into something else, oh, that's what most people do with sex. I hope this turns into something else.
Oh, wow, that sounds
that'll
good.
be great. If we have sex tonight, maybe we'll start dating tomorrow and we just met.
Which is totally backwards.
It's totally
Yeah,
backwards.
that
It's
is.
putting the cart
I
before the
100%
horse.
agree with that.
And so, and a lot of times people are just doing shots before they go and have, hookups, which means I'm going to have sex with you and we have no expectation of ever having see each other again or any form of relationship.
What they're taking, they don't want to remember it.
So it
And they're,
means
like,
that's
taking
it.
Shots or something. They're like, I don't want to remember this. I'm like, then why bother going?
Well, it says it's meaningless what we're fixing to do because I can't know what's happening. And so whatever sex means to you, figuring out what that means to you is a really important piece. It doesn't, what I tell you it should mean or what somebody else is irrelevant. It's what does it mean to you? And then once you figure out what that means to you, then you're able to articulate that and listen to what it means to somebody else. And they're like, oh, I just think it's something fun to do.
So this is probably one of those important but tough conversations to bring up. You have a new partner, and you've come upon that time to have sex, that benchmark. You should probably be talking about what it means to you and have them tell you, what it means to them.
Yeah,
And that will be healthy for your relationship, right? That's the important part.
That's it. And I have a list of questions, like 142 questions about sex. It's a list. And I got it from Esther Perel's work that she does.
That sounds good.
And it's like, and people are like, I'm not going to have that conversation. And then just like Brooke was saying, then you should not be having sex with this person.
Yeah,
if you can't talk about
that's
5
smart.
of these 142 questions and just pick some. Not all of them, but having that facility, if that's what it means to you. If people are like, oh, it doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just having sex just like you're going to have a meal tomorrow. It's just
what do you feel about two partners that have that same...
So there's research on that, which was really interesting for me to find out, because I thought that it was always a negative. I went in with a bias, looking for the bias that I was right.
So you're wanting to see red, and you went in seeing some red, and you also saw some blue.
I saw some blue. I did, exactly. And what I saw was that if you make it from based on the self-determination theory of Desi and Ryan, and if you go in with sex as something that you think is interesting, you're going to learn something, it's fun, it's natural, it's not connected to anything else it needs to be, it's just that's what you want it to be, you think you're curious, it's healthy, human, whatever, and then the partner does too, then they have found that anxiety, depression, and physical symptoms, negative physical symptoms, do not appear.
Interesting.
But if you go in out of coercion, tricked, altered by the alcohol, drugs, pills, anything, you have revenge. You do it to get along, hope it turns into something else, and to avoid unpleasant feelings, which is most times what happens. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be the one guy or the one gal not getting
I'm
any.
lonely right now, so maybe if I have sex with someone, then
I'm not.
That
then you
will
don't feel
affirm.
that
What? I keep forgetting
That's
all the words.
it.
Affirm.
Yeah, it'll enrich my life enough that will be enough. And if you have that a little bit, just a little bit, then you end up with anxiety, depression, and physical symptoms. It doesn't work.
Interesting.
I
So
had
it can work with both partners, but okay.
Yeah.
Also, what
I'm definitely not. I found out I can't do that, so that's definitely not one for me. But
Yeah, and that's
I
something that you
understand that
don't
other
know.
people do have
that mentality.
that mentality, and that's okay. That's theirs. I don't have to participate.
And you don't need to change them.
Right.
But you don't have to participate in that. Because
Just keep it as friends.
Well, yeah. And then looking at, what were you going to say, Brooke?
I was kind of saying how you were saying that people are scared to talk about sex versus doing it. That just, it's kind of like using a
Oh my
metaphor
God,
that-
you're so right. Look at that sentence.
No,
She just goes lasers in. That is it.
This isn't this obviously is different spectrums, but a metaphor is kind of like you can talk about jumping off a cliff. I'm going to jump off a cliff tomorrow night. That is what's going to happen. But then doing it is such a bigger thing. But that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's completely reversed. It's I'm going to what's skydiving?
Yeah,
I can
let's
talk
go
about that.
skydive and then
But
talk
you're
about
in the
it.
plane and you're holy crap. But so people are way more comfortable to do the skydiving versus talking about it with people, which
Interesting.
is kind of
Definitely backwards. I
Weird.
agree. Yeah.
Well, and one of the things about that's one of my big platforms because it it irritated me so much when I watched people minimize their value by just doing that over and over. And one young woman came in and she said, this guy was so hot. I mean, like Greek god hot. And she goes, I am not Greek goddess hot. So we were drunk at the bar. And so it's like, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, and he was like so cute. And we went home together, and I totally had that kind of self-determination where I didn't care. I didn't give him my number. I didn't care if I ever saw him again. I was just going to enjoy this moment, kind of a thing. And then she goes, and then the next morning,
you wouldn't believe who called.
He asked me for my number.
Uh-huh.
And I said, and she goes, and I gave it to him. I said, well, you just told me that you didn't care. So you did care.
Clearly.
Because when he asked for your number and you went, okay,
Yeah.
there was an element of you that did really care. But you were telling yourself you didn't.
Lying to yourself. Yeah.
Well, to get what you thought you wanted in the moment.
Yeah.
And it's like the good relationships is the $10 million. And this is $10 somebody left in the bar, and you're like, I'm picking up $10, versus waiting on the $10 million. The big deal. It's like, well, $10 is better than no bucks. I'm taking it, And this guy was, in her opinion, because he was so Greek goddess, good looking, was really like $100. So she was like, ooh, I'm taking it.
Had the looks, but
Also,
maybe not the vibe, the frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, going with your metaphor, the experience of getting the $10 million or $10,000 should be worth the waiting and not picking up the $10 that someone left at the bar.
Ooh, I like that.
It's that getting that kind of getting to have sex with someone you're really passionate about, and not wasting that first experience, not like losing your virginity to someone you didn't care about, and like having that be with someone you truly love, and someone who truly loves you is worth waiting and not having, one night stands with people you don't even know the name of.
Huh.
Just to feel validated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Affirmed. Mm-hmm.
Affirmed.
Yeah. That's it.
So those are any other benchmarks? So those are three big benchmarks. We got introducing to friends, introducing to family, sex, marriage at some point possibly.
Well, and
for some people,
I think talking about money, people have a lot of money stuff, and really like who pays.
Interesting.
When you go out on dating, and how do you do that? And then how is this person with money? Or do they have debt? Do they save money? Are they miserly? Are they thrifty? Are they, whatever? I don't care. I live in the moment. I'm just gonna.
I don't think Atticus likes me in the same
Our producer keeps turning the camera so it doesn't catch Brooke.
That's not good.
It's hilarious.
He's like, could you go feed me? I'll put you back in the screen. Look at his ears perk up.
Imagine if someone's like listening, they don't know we're talking about a dog.
I know.
They're probably so confused.
So money is another issue. Religion and spirituality.
So, real quick on a lot of these things, I've noticed in relationships. You go out on a first date, person A buys, and then from then on, it becomes expected that person A is going to buy. So when do you have these tough conversations like that?
I have found that people look at money very differently. In the South, men sometimes have a mentality, it's true, that they should pay, especially of a certain generation. But not everybody feels that way. So I think it's about figuring out first how you are with money. What you want to do. Do you want to always pay for the dinner if you're going out, or would you like to have somebody share that with you? Or do you want to have somebody go, hey, Calvin, I'm going to treat you to this gaming thing. I'd love to pay for you to go with me. Versus, I'm going, you get your ticket, I get my ticket. You're like, well, some people don't care. Love language is, some people like it, some people don't, so really looking at how you feel about that, what love language do you have when it comes to money? Do you like gifts? Do you like for people to buy you stuff? Whatever. But I think it's always kind to go, hey, listen, we both agreed to go out. I didn't really ask you out. You didn't really ask me out. I think we could split this. Or if somebody goes, let's go to this really nice restaurant. I'm going to take you out. You're like, okay, that's great.
Are they paying?
Yeah, and say, that's not really in my budget right now. I'd love to go out with you, but I think we might have to shoot for something different. And they go, no, I'm treating. Mm-hmm. You clear it up before you get there and are panicked the whole time going, who's getting the tab? How is this working?
I always worry about those kind of things. And
And I
the
think
tabs
as a man, it's like do you want to always be in that role? Do you want to be the breadwinner in the family, the person paying for?
Breadwinner.
I know it. The person exactly.
It's just there's like a meme now that says let's get this bread. It means like let's get on that grind. Let's have a good day. Let's get all work
really?
hard. And now you said that and it was.
You're cooler than I am. I don't know.
I have
Anyway, continue.
when so for me, I show my love. This is kind of a thing. I show my love more through my time, giving the person my time and my attention. And a lot of people, I don't know a lot of people, but a lot of people show their love through gifts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to actually be a little turned off by gifts. Not so much like if you give me a gift, I think it's really cool because like you thought about me and gave me a gift. Mm-hmm. It's not really about the gift, it's about that thought. But if someone were to, buy me stuff that was expensive that I didn't even want or ask for, I'd kind of be like, having that kind of talk with your partner before something like Christmas or something would probably be really important, or birthdays or...
There are fun little assessments to figure out your love language. And so do you know them all?
Yes.
Okay.
Not all of them.
Okay, let's hear them.
Physical touch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hit low power mode. Just
Oh yeah,
real quick.
thanks.
Do we want to plug it in?
Physical touch.
I think it should be good for a bit.
Okay.
Words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
Gifts.
Mm-hmm. Acts of service.
Acts of service.
And quality time.
Quality time.
Mm.
And so your
Interesting.
love language is obviously not gifts.
Right.
Mine is physical touch, so being massaged or
hand holding, hugging,
and stuff like that. And then quality time is another one of mine because I took
Yeah, her mother made her do it.
like take one of these love languages things. I was like, okay, but I think that
knowing that about yourself is
yeah.
important.
That is really
it's also
important.
important for your partner.
Do you
to
have
that.
one?
That way they know. The
Yeah, I can give.
Can you send me home with homework, please?
I love homework for good people. Assignments. Yes,
I
but
can even post it on the
yeah.
under the video.
So
like,
the
"Here's
love
some homework."
languages, and then there's an apology language. How does somebody repair when they mess up? What do you really need?
Interesting.
Somebody,
What are some of those? Do you know those?
Well,
Or is
I
that
don't
next?
remember
Is that
all
next
of them.
semester?
I don't remember all of them, but what I got was regret. So
Expressing regret.
Expressing regret was so expressing
Ah.
that they acknowledged that what they did was bad and that they know that was wrong and
then there's-
Shame. No.
and then accepting responsibility.
right. And I truly, honestly, I was in an argument with one of my friends that day. My mom, she just thought, okay, well, this is kind of on cue. How about you take an apology language? And I took it, and expressing regret was my top one. And then probably an hour after, I had gotten a text from that friend that said, hey, I was in a really bad mood that day. I regret saying what I said. Those, like, word for word, I regret saying what I said.
Interesting.
And I was like, so really when you know what you want, the universe kind of just taps into that. They're like, okay, she's got it. Let's do now. And so I feel like
Did you
knowing
explain
that,
how cool that was to your friend?
I was like, that's exactly what I needed to hear. And then honestly, when you
That's
hear
amazing.
that kind of apology, it's so much easier for you to know what you did wrong and to acknowledge that. And that way, because if someone came to you, you're like, yeah, I guess I'm sorry. You're going to say, okay, well, I guess I'm sorry too. When someone says, I'm so sorry, I know I shouldn't have done that, you're like, well, I shouldn't have done that either. Yeah, I'm really sorry. And so I feel like knowing your
Those are
partner's
good things
that,
to
and
know.
knowing mine is important.
That's what we do in Delivery Day.
Nice.
We learn all that. Yeah, so that you're really empowered to be able to communicate that and really look for it. You know what you're looking for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that kind of homework. I want to know more about myself, be more self-aware.
And
Right.
do personality tests. We do
Oh,
that
yeah,
on
do
that.
that.
So then, and learning how to understand somebody else's personality, because I have rules for living based on my personality. Exactly. And if you don't get in line, you're wrong. Or those are my rules. But that's not true. I mean, your rules for living will be in your personality, and your rules for life will be yours. And if you're in a relationship with someone that has different rules, then it's going to be power over to try to get your rules to be with mine, and then you become the power struggle.
I see. Interesting.
Interesting.
Man, we covered some good stuff.
Did it? We got great producers.
Yeah. Thanks for joining in.
Yeah,
just
thank you for
hopping
having me.
I
over.
know. She's
was
so
hilarious.
good at this. Yeah.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and I'm gonna even editing. I'm gonna still learn a lot because I keep forgetting a lot of the words you're using. But But it meant, like, I understood it when you said it. I was like, oh, I want to remember those. So
good.
as I edit it, I'll
Thank
be
you
able
for
to.
that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I'm glad it lands.
Yeah. So thanks for
I
coming
think
on,
the most
Cindy.
important thing is choosing a significant relationship in your life. One of the biggest decisions you'll make.
Yeah.
And it will impact everything after that. You know, children, assets, investments, families, traditions, holidays. I mean, it's a big deal.
So, and I think, kind of to recap, and both of y'all can add on to this, we said, know yourself. That's the first step. Know what you like. What are your deal breakers, those things. And then find someone with that same type of frequency and what they're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And, then go through some benchmarks. But the important part is, as you are in a relationship, whether it be with a friend or a romantic partner, to find middle ground.
Yes.
Especially on the subjects that you disagree on. And when you can't find that middle ground, have the courage to bring up that tough conversation that isn't fun to have, but better than shoving it under the carpet or whatever the saying is.
Well, and then you're walking over big mountains pretty
Right.
soon and tripping everywhere. But I don't think they have to be that miserable once you learn how to do it. We're not taught how to do it. And so once you learn how to do anything, like when you learn how to dink at first, you're like, oh, they're going to slam that one in my face in pickleball.
Yep.
But once you learn how to do it, it's quite fun to be up there. So conflict does not have to be bad.
It's a skill that you can learn and improve. That's actually really important, I think, for people to understand. It is terrifying. Like, doing this podcast was terrifying to me at first, and it still kind of is.
Well,
but as I go, like, it gets less terrifying. I get better. I know better questions to ask, and
And if you're
same thing with a relationship.
That's it. If you're in a
Practice.
relationship that's not challenging you to heal and transform, you're not going to get the enrichment.
Oh, so the bringing up the tough conversations is part of the transformation. Ding.
That's it. Man got it. That's it. Well, and when you know that, it's not scary.
Right.
That's what
It's
we're
like,
supposed to be
part
doing
of our
for each
relationship.
other. That's
this is
how.
us, improving together.
That's how we grow.
Cool.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
That's all you need to know.
Ta-da!
Cindy Austin.
Yay! And Brooke Austin.
And Brooke Austin. Yay! And producer.
And Calvin.
And Calvin. Thank you. Atticus.
Atticus, the producer.
And a guest appearance by the cat.
Buster.
Buster.
Thank you, Calvin.
Yeah, thank you
it's
so
fun.
much, Cindy
I love
and Brooke.
talking about
Atticus.
this.
It's nice to meet you too.
See you on the pickleball court.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Awesome.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.